I speak Spanish.
Un poco.
Oh.
Necesito practicar
Makes
más.
sense. Yeah.
Good
I also need to
now y buenos dias, revolutionaries, and welcome
Bienvenidos
to the
a
Rise
show de
Up.
la Rise Up Morning Show.
Yeah.
Cancel.
You're getting, right now we're going to You can't hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, monsters and machines, people and creatures of all ages, welcome to the Rise Up Morning Somewhere show. It's morning somewhere, and you're hanging out with your best friends on the blockchain. We're so glad you're here. And we are a little late today because it's Denver time zones changed. What time is it in your time zone when we usually go live?
We are
thinking about it.
It's usually 8 o'clock.
But now it's 6 o'clock. So thank you for bearing with us. You have lots of options to tune into, but we're so glad that you choose to spend your time with us.
It's actually 10 o'clock.
It's actually 10 o'clock, but who's counting?
Me.
Yeah. So we had a pretty good time last night. We're hanging out at East Denver. All the band is back together. Mac Lorden is in the background. And I'll tell you what, I'm pretty bullish on this conference so far. Mostly because you guys are here today, like doing a show. But also, it's been pretty good.
What I have noticed is AI agents are still hot.
I would say heating up even, if
Yeah.
it's possible. And the example of that is like yesterday we went to an abstract event. And it wasn't just abstract at East Denver, it was AI abstract. And it was good to see that they're interested in it, but sometimes it feels just a little shoehorned. Like, guys, we're talking about AI too. Come to my event.
Yeah.
Did you really?
AI applications. He was commenting on the fact that every company just crams AI in some flavor into their job description now. You have to.
Yeah.
No choice. And then talking about using the agents. So it's not just a Web3 thing. It's left Web3 for sure.
Left Web3. Oh man, that sounds scary.
Yeah. But everybody was talking about we're going to get away from these Mimi AI bots, AI agents. We got to get away from just like the Twitter agents. And everyone's talking about it's this. Oh, your mic's not working?
Apparently. Did you just have me turned down because you hate me? Can you all hear me now?
You can see. When I can't see Evan with his sound box here. Also, I'm on my own live. Just
absolutely.
Oh my God, Will's on his own live too?
On my own live. I'm separate. Taking some of the audience.
So
go
for it.
If for those of you who can't see Evan's hands, I just go, Evan, no one can hear me, and he just, while maintaining heavy eye contact with me, just turns my volume up. He's like, shit. He
Sometimes
noticed.
You turn it down.
Sometimes I just keep Alex muted.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
Yeah.
But what I was saying is that everyone was saying pretty much all the same things that I've seen, which is we got to get away from just like, we can have an AI agent do Twitter posts for you. We got to get to like the general executive assistant who can help you with your like online life and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And everyone's talking about it, which makes me like a little bearish on it. But like, because like everyone wants to be like, everyone's targeting the same thing. So I think you'll have, just like everything in crypto, you'll have like one or two projects that's actually able to like maybe do it actually. And then the rest will just be like a money grab. But that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes.
What did you think about yesterday? The one panel that I thought like deserved to be talking about AI was we went to an agent starter panel with Tom from Base, head of product over there, Eric Voorhees, Bitcoin OG and founder of Venice AI, the Vaderbot fellow, and Shaughnessy on Twitter, whose name I don't know. But they're, significant builders who are actually like at the front of this space. And one of the things Eric Voorhees said in response to a question about like, so when will my AI trading bot be ready, was he said, thinking about an AI bot and wondering if you're going to get a trader is silly. He said, every single AI that you have that's general purpose is going to be able to do that for you. It's like it's like having a high level personal assistant and only sending them to the grocery store for you.
We were, as I was talking to the driver about this, we were kind of discussing, the different applications for these things. And, and I forget exactly what his prompt comment for me to get to this point was, but I was basically like, we're at a day and age where still, how long has Google search been a thing? And people generally are not very good at it. And I think people aren't even aware that they're not like Googling well.
Yeah.
I've done multiple videos because I'm a dweeb about how to Google better. Just, there's like so many little shorthand things that you can put in, and putting stuff in quotes and underscores and parentheses and equals and pluses and like all these different ways that you can perfectly craft the way that you get search results. And it all has to do with how good your search is. And it's the same thing, we were talking about, he's in grad school, so he uses ChatGPT to analyze large amounts of data and help him like organize it in more pretty ways or something. And
over there.
And I was, he was like, yeah, and it does a pretty good job. And I'm like, well, it really just has to do with how good you are at prompting stuff.
Put it behind the light, Will.
So I feel like we're all like kind of limited in our use of AI stuff as we figure out truly like what it's capable of, because we don't know.
We don't
get it.
We got a great comment that said, Alex has hair, ... Interesting.
What do you make of that?
Interesting. Yeah, I did. I will tell you the other cool thing. I don't think we have it down here. Yesterday at the, we do. Hang on.
Will's just doing a whole lot of scooching behind me right now.
Just scooch.
Whole lot.
My bulge just right on your back.
Just dragging it across my shoulders.
Family show, guys. Yesterday at the abstract event, we did pick up this cool hat.
Bearish.
Our friend Totally. I'm going to show you this.
Too bad the words are backwards.
No, they're. I think they're. Oh, they are. Our friend Totally had this hat on. Bad Bears Totally, and I was there. We were there before Alex was. Alex was still getting in and getting stuff, but I saw it on his head and immediately thought of you, Alex, because it says Bearish AF, and it's in Alex's.
And it's in your favorite color.
Signature color, right there. So what do you know?
Black.
There's a question that came up about prompting specifically. Does it help if you just ask it to give you the right prompts?
Woo!
You might. I can't tell from that use of an emoji there. You might be kidding, but you're 100% spot on. Nothing is better at prompting these things than these things themselves. So 100%, if you're like trying to get it to do a better job at something for you, just describe what you want it to do and ask it to prompt itself and craft the prompt for you. And that levels up your prompt game immediately.
Interesting. I've never thought about actually using it to generate my question.
That's the secret sauce.
Yeah, the prompt would be like, I want to write an article for my for the Rise Up Morning Show about our time shift today, and I want you to do it in my voice, and I need you to help me generate a prompt that will give you the best result.
But in Patois.
In Patois. Yeah, you can ask GPT. We were doing that yesterday, making GPT talking different dialects. And my favorite prompt tip is it talking to it. GPT, Poe, I think all these major models, at least the very least, you can use your microphone. But I will, use the voice mode and talk to it. And the other one is you can just run on. Give me a blog post for the Rise Up Morning Show, comma, whatever. Talk. And you can tell it, don't use any punctuation or format it like a poem or do this, and just give it a long list. And if it doesn't make sense to you, that's okay. It's processing. And if it can read you, it will understand you and give you an output. I spent a lot of time when I first started, like making sure my punctuation was correct and proper and fixing typos. But now I leave the typos in, and almost always it knows that when I'm saying waffle, I really mean wallet or whatever. I don't know. It's pretty good. And I use it all the time. I'm such a maximalist about it.
Oh, yeah. It's true. Evan is always ChatGPTing in the background.
What were we GPTing in Georgia? Or we were debating something lightly, or I was skeptical about something you said. I was like, I don't know if that's true, Alex. And I was
we were
like,
trying to figure out like what words you could and couldn't
say on the air.
And I gotta say, the words you guys think you can say and can't say, I was totally on the opposite camp. I'm like, how are we this far off?
And I was like, GPT, what are the FCC's rules about words you can say in broadcast media? Like,
and he's saying words as we're like walking down the street of Savannah, and like people are walking past us, and I'm like, Evan, Evan.
Will, what were you saying? Did you say it? You weren't on the show when you said it, or maybe you were about being a robot racist?
Oh yeah, no, I mean like that's definitely the future. In the future, I will be a racist to robots. My girlfriend and I, we talk about it all the time, where it's like we'll have like a grandchild who will come up to us and be like, "Why won't you accept Boop Bop 7000 as a part of this family?" And we're like, "I don't want a robot in this house. It's not a person. I don't want them in our schools." It's gonna be like I'm gonna be racist to robots because I don't want all of us to be banging robots.
No, not too bad.
Yeah, I know it's bad because societal problems, but whatever. Screw it.
No, we were talking about that last night. Somebody said, "Do you think people are going to have more like romance with robots than they are with people?" And I think that's going to become the norm. I think most people will fulfill their desires with a robot partner. Will probably share their scary thoughts with a robot partner. Listen, man.
No. I'm laughing because this is a cryptocurrency show.
Well, it's a future tech show.
Today
Future
it's a dating robots show.
It's a dating robot show.
If you are a robot and
I
you're
would
dating
like-
a human, we want you to call in and tell us about your
I
experience.
would like to clarify my robot racism. I think
Okay.
having sex with robots is fine, but falling in love with them and marrying them and trying to have a family with them, I think I'm just going to be against in the future.
Hang on, I need to figure out how to cancel this show.
If you've got a crypto question, you're crypto curious or crypto skeptical, let us know. Leave your comment below or check out the Rise Up Discord server at discord.gg/riseup, as well as all the links at theriseupmorningshow.com. If you're watching us on TikTok, you might like to watch us on our YouTube channel, and we've got the official link to get you set up so you can watch us on your TV there. It's a great place, the Discord server, for questions. If you want a second opinion or you just need another handful of people in your life who are going to talk to you about cryptocurrency, because it can be kind of lonely. And gosh, I can't recommend that enough. If you're trying to learn crypto, you need to have a friend who uses it, and that's us. We're your friends who use it. So, Alex, do we have any good questions in the feed that we ought to attend to?
Probably. I was just looking at Crypto Panic, and there's a headline about Litecoin just dominating. So I look over, and yes, in fact, Litecoin is up 16% today.
Really?
Wait, what?
In a quite red market.
Yeah, in 24 hours. Well, there's a few that are pushing. So like Kaito is up there, which I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, what's Kaito? Is that
Can't
the
say I'm
Yap
familiar.
thing?
It's the Yap thing.
What's up with Yaps? Can you explain that to me? Is it
I
like
can try.
DGen, like a currency that you get for being popular on social
So
media?
sort of. Yeah,
Okay.
it's for talking about the right stuff on crypto Twitter.
Immediately bearish.
I already really hate that.
And there was like a point system depending on like what you talked about. And I just remember maybe if someone's more
Was
familiar
this
with
sponsored by the CCP?
Yeah, right.
well, no, it was like a Web3 thing, you're
Yeah.
talking about the right crypto shit.
Yeah.
But I remember that pretty early on somebody cracked it, and you could just tweet out like 5 words in a series and you would just get like maximum yaps. And then
It's
there
like
was
a
a big
Sims code,
airdrop.
like Rosebud.
So, yeah, it was just like it got a little bit controversial because, of course, it was a cryptocurrency that required participation in some capacity.
Yeah.
You had to connect your Twitter to it, so
Yeah.
it's probably farming data.
Yeah.
100%.
And then, you're doing the thing and you're collecting these yaps, and then everyone was just like yapping to each other about the yaps that they were collecting for yapping. So it was just like this kind of cyclical
Infinite
nonsense
yapping
of
loop.
just like not making crypto Twitter any better. And then the airdrop happened, and the only thing I saw on the timeline was just disappointment.
I saw Mert was like the number 2 yapper, which honestly makes sense.
Yeah.
Somebody
That does make
valuable. And
Mert was way up there. Yeah, there's a few like very well-known figures on the top of the Yap leaderboard in the top 10. Most of them are names that you've probably heard of.
Yeah.
But then the currency itself has just it's super fresh. It doesn't even have a full week's worth of data. But it did the thing. It did. Yeah. And it's just been on a rip for the
That has
past.
been on a rip, though.
So, over the course of its entire life, it did go down to 91 cents, post drop, and it's just been pushing up, and now it's at 240.
It looks like it's in a healthy bull market.
It's only a few days old, but it's
interesting.
That'll end.
up almost 50% this week. So that's a
Yeah.
wild one.
And
And then
like
Story.
Just quickly, guys, it's really tempting when you see something that's green in a super red market to dive into it. But by the time you found out about it, we're talking about this now, it's up 45% in a super red market. Probably a bad time to be buying.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking like, cool, I'll dump these coins that are super red, dive into this and just try to get myself a little bit out from being underwater, you're probably going to put yourself in a position where you're more underwater.
Well, and now if you're thinking, okay, great, I'll wait until it goes down into the red. This currencies like this, you might want to look at DGen is the best model I can think of. We're late to this. This has been talked about by insiders on crypto Twitter who are ahead of you in terms of doing the things you need to do to get it. And they are the ones who are going to get an upsized amount. Even if you sign up, buy someone it's red. The incentive for these kinds of things is not to keep adding liquidity to the pool so people will keep selling it. This is not a revenue generating token. It's like DGen. Eventually the people who got it because they were yappers will sell it, and they probably won't be interested in it anymore because it's not, doing something.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
This reminded me. This is a tangent off this conversation, but the genesis of it is like this is at least like a new idea, right? It's not like your typical kind of hot in trend, kind of in vogue cryptocurrency project.
Yeah.
And one of the things also that I had 2 different conversations with folks when we were separated at also Stellar, by the way, last night had turned to the aquarium in Denver to a casino, which was dope. It was cool. And I got to touch and pet a shark. It was a bamboo shark.
Yeah.
Changed my life. Anyway, I met
They're getting married.
Changed my life.
Sorry, Violet.
Their names were Harry and Larry, and one was an albino bamboo shark.
Poor guy.
And I did learn that they are largely from the Pacific. This is not what I wanted to talk about. I spoke with a few folks, and it's like a big sentiment shift away from a lot of like the real big trendy items like meme coins. Like a lot of people have, since meme coins really got super popular at the end of like 2023, beginning of 2024, and really kind of showed like, oh, hey, it's kind of different this cycle in the sense that like they're kind of leading the market. And some people were upset, like, oh, this is going to steal liquidity. And then as more time went by, as it really showed proof that meme coins were really dragging liquidity away from the rest of crypto, on top of the ETFs doing the same as well. More and more anger against meme coins has kind of been bubbling up and growing. And as the markets have really turned red with the Trump coin, the Kanye coin, the Haktua coin, all this kind of stuff, like anger towards meme coin culture is at an all-time high right now, is what I've been sensing in ETH Denver. And a couple conversations I had with folk where, I'm excited about all this stuff. Like AI agents are cool. I'm excited to see, what Web3 gaming does. I'm excited to see this. Like, I'm interested in how meme coin culture changes and all that. But like, really, 2 people said this to me. They're like, I'm going back to DeFi. They're like, I explored all these other things and like, I'm going back home to DeFi because I got burned on a few things. And now I just kind of like am pretty pessimistic about a few different trends. Like, and a lot of people were like, I like DeFi. I like tokenization of real world assets. And 2 people said that to me. And they're like, that's really where I'm focusing my attention. That's where I'm trying to spend my time, build their careers there, and also put their investments there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, is that because it's the only thing in crypto that gets adoption amongst its targeted audience? And they're like, yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I was like, I've been talking about this for years.
Yeah. No, it's in that same theme. That's kind of also the sentiment that I've been seeing, just a desire to. Crypto Twitter is a little bit slow. They take forever to get to the punch. And then, of course, when we figure out something new, we have to talk about how we figured it out for like 6 months before anyone actually does anything about it. So like the memes are doing the meme thing and pulling liquidity out of everything. Everyone's upset. Everything is a scam. Turns out that all of it is a coordinated sniping effort by the same 6 assholes.
Yeah.
And then you have this thing where everyone on crypto Twitter who considers themselves a thought leader just tweets, can we just support real builders, for like 6 straight months. None of them ever actually support any real builders. They never actually quote tweet anybody or like find anyone building something and support them or like.
Well, you see, we're key opinion leaders, and by sharing our opinions, we move and shape the market.
We're doing our job.
This is a gross misrepresentation.
But it's kind of starting now. And one thing that I noticed was that, our thinking in this same line of thinking, like look for things that have achieved some sort of adoption. Nothing is at mass adoption.
No.
Bitcoin's like knocking on the door, trying to get in from moderate adoption. But nothing, I don't care what anybody tells you, nothing has mass adoption yet. Nothing even has mass interest yet.
Yeah.
And that's the scale you need. We don't go from 0 to mass adoption. You go from 0 to mild interest, mild adoption, moderate interest, moderate adoption, etc.
Yeah.
And the one thing I've noticed is that all of the same people that I see, all the Wolves DAO guys, Bryson, all these people are still just as excited about Web3 gaming as they were 6 months ago, a year ago.
The level of excitement in Web3 gaming has not changed since like Engine Coin came
and
out.
All of their token prices are in the absolute gutter, which is the single most bullish thing that you could possibly have for a niche in the industry. And I'm saying this without also giving any kind of a shit about the price of Web3 gaming tokens. They're all getting slaughtered. But the fact is that there are games that exist that now you're not even making any tokens that are worth anything to participate in and play. And these people are still there. They're still stoked about it. They're still like looking for new games. Sam just took the CMO role at Farcade.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Which is just like the marriage of 2 absolute behemoths in the Web3 gaming side with Sam Stephanie. For those of you who don't know, Sam is a content creator. He hosts a couple shows on Twitter, and he works with Wolves DAO. And then,
can you explain to people what Wolves DAO is and also a little bit about Farcade?
Yeah. So Okay, two things. Farcade is a really interesting project. We're going to be meeting with, I think, Charlie at some point. I think he's here. He lives in Denver. Farcade is basically like a TikTok feed for launching and playing games. So imagine the same way that you scroll on TikTok and you watch a video, you can scroll through a live feed of phone games and you can play it for a few seconds. And if you don't like it, you swipe past it and you play another one. And you can also conceptualize and launch games into this thing the same way that you would like sit down and film a video and edit it on TikTok.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And it's my wife's favorite project in Web3 right now. And Wolves DAO is just a collective of people who are, I would say, pretty focused on Web3 gaming, by itself. There's a ton of these people.
And they're impressive. Almost all of them are very impressive.
Yeah.
I was telling, can I tell him really quickly about Matt that I want to get on the show? Alex has, seen him in and around the Twitter sphere. He's an English fellow. He's got a lovely voice. And he is super gaming OG. He's building a project called Warp, which is an Avalanche subchain. So it's technically like a layer 2, but it's really its own like blockchain ecosystem. And he's former Jagex, so he worked on RuneScape. He was a big part of building Angry Birds and has a ton of, he was telling me that the team of OGs they've assembled from like Web 2, Web 3 gaming has over 300 years of collective experience in building fun to play games, and was talking about the mechanics of, we're talking about AI integration, how AI agents will not only help us with just the creation of different parts of games, expedite the processing power, but they will help us to balance ecosystems in games. If there's a hero in a game that a lot of people don't want to play as, or in a tokenized ecosystem don't value as much, then AI can measure, can suggest alternative incentive models and shift the dynamics in real time so that this hero becomes a villain or becomes scarce in some way, or become, what I mean? And it doesn't have to be about money, but it's about sensing what makes what the players value, what makes the game fun, and then doing it better. I'm so bullish on people who get gaming and get that.
And I want to say too, I am most bullish on people in gaming who are RuneScape OGs, because there's almost nothing that I can think of in all of gaming history that has an economy as robust as the RuneScape economy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely massive, to the point where people that I know, because I was one of them, literally would wake up and clock into RuneScape and like do a job contributing to the RuneScape economy, whether you're chopping wood to sell into the wood supply. And these things were tracked and charted, like the current live supply of wood on the open market of different kinds in RuneScape, and like the gold flow. And things have changed now because they've very heavily monetized all sorts of stuff. But like old school RuneScape, it was like an economy that you could sense the rise and fall of inflation. If the Queen Black Dragon had like a really lucky rash of dragon chainmail drops, then the price would start to come down because more of them were coming into the market. People would pull them off and invest in those specific things. You literally had people like investing in stuff, and gold was, the in-between of the whole thing. It's wild. Like, it sounds very nerdy, I know, to sit here and say this, but my point is that if you get to a point where what you want to do is tokenize stuff meaningfully in a game, and you're already running the biggest economy in video gaming, I mean, anyone who worked on that team is at the top of the list of people that I would say should be working on the Web3 side of gaming.
Well,
they get
and we talked about real world assets too. I think what's important to understand is that real world asset doesn't have to mean a tangible physical thing. Like, I would consider RuneScape Gold a real world asset, in the sense that there are people in the real world.
There's a significant black market for it. It's traded on the third party resellers all the time. People who just farm gold in the game and then sell it over PayPal. And Jagex tried for a long time to shut that down. They deleted trading from the game and they torpedoed it, which was really interesting. So they had to walk that back.
I guess we like this black market.
Well, and then they literally brought it back. Yeah. They literally just re-enabled the fact that people were trading that way.
Can I take it back? We had a couple of really good questions I want to get to. And let me say, again, if you have a question, please drop it below. Let us know what you're thinking. We just touched very briefly on Litecoin, and then we kind of brushed past it. But are you guys familiar with this theory that is kind of popular, that people have, that when Litecoin moves in the 4-year cycle about now, that it's the start of the end of the bull run, like everything follows it. You
Yeah,
familiar with that?
I've heard that the theory a little differently, which is
Okay.
like once Litecoin gets back to its all-time high, like that's the end. That's what I hear.
Okay, yeah, no, that's right. That's right. I was recounting it wrong.
Yeah. And I think it's either one of two things. It's either super silly and dumb,
Yeah.
or it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's
That's
just stupid.
enough people with enough bags will see that happen, will execute on it,
Yeah.
and it will happen. And people
I want to
will
come
seem
back
like
to the
it's fake.
self-fulfilling prophecy thing.
Yeah.
When you're,
I mean, there you go for it.
No, okay. So we've talked about this before. You know, the question about whether or not technical analysis in general is one giant self-fulfilling prophecy, because
Yeah.
there's so many
It is.
patterns that we recognize, and now that's what we expect. And you know, another really obnoxious one that makes me angry every single time I see it, but you know, okay, we've all seen it, right? Something has happened, usually centered around people who have never heard about crypto before,
Okay.
wanting to get involved in some way.
Yeah.
We all call it a top signal and everyone gets bearish.
Yeah.
Like, this is the only industry where people get like upset when new people show up.
This is a
Yeah,
gross
that is
misrepresentation.
true.
And I'm like,
of
you
facts.
guys are literally over here bitching and moaning about wanting to get to more adoption. And
Yeah.
that's all we need is for retail and the masses to show up. And then every time retail shows up, you bully them away by calling them normies and forcing people to like feel like they're out of place and like doing something wrong by showing up and just like not understanding what the entire industry in the first 8 seconds that they're like
Right.
looking into something.
Shame on you.
And it's embarrassing, first of all, bad look.
Yeah.
Not
But it just
ideal.
it's so stupid. And I like, all I want is to target people who use the phrase top signal. Now, okay.
Or normie. We've talked about that one before.
Oh, I
Actually,
hate
just doing
it.
the video I made where it's like, hey there, normies, I have
Yeah.
a brand new crypto for you. Yeah.
I do hate the word normie, which is why we put it in that video. It's truly awful. And no one on earth likes the word
Right.
normie except for like 30 insiders on crypto Twitter who like to feel like they're special. So if you're
I will
out
say I
there,
let it slip into my vocabulary too much because it's
Yeah.
satisfying to say.
Well, and
It's
it's a good
awful.
shorthand when I'm talking. You know, no normies are around. If I'm talking to an insider in the industry, it's the fastest way. It's like Web3 native, and I don't know what else to say except N normies or people who don't use crypto, and that's just I got to get there quicker.
I don't think that we need a single word to describe that. It's okay
agree.
that not everything has a single word.
I agree completely.
Hey, man.
But acronyms, we got to.
Oh
turn
yeah,
this
like
into an
Pupo,
acronym.
like we got Pupos, Ponzi's
Yeah.
until proven otherwise. We need a more.
Well, listen, I was in the military for almost 10 years. Okay, I like acronyms, but
So it's up to you. We need
Yeah,
you
we
to
need you
make
to-
an acronym. For,
and then a process manual for how to use
I need
it.
all the rest of my friends in the Web3 space who were also in the military to help me come up with more and more Web3 acronyms.
Yeah, acronyms for person who does not use crypto yet. That is not pejorative. The other question that I wanted to address, we have two good questions here. One of them is from Moist Mike about how we pick projects. I know, right? Might be my favorite username.
That's a good username.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely
He
not
wants to know
this.
how we pick projects to invest in, like what really gets us going to start researching, start putting money into it. And we talk about that often. I love when we go around and give that. But first, Will, I'm going to need you to give us a market update. And also specifically, aren't we getting NVIDIA today? Did we already get it?
NVIDIA today, but it's at the end of. So first of all, if you guys don't know who NVIDIA is, most of you probably
Where
do.
have you been?
Where have you been? They're the largest AI stock in the U.S. stock market, largest AI stock in the world. They provide a bunch of GPUs, chips, all that kind of stuff needed for the infrastructure of AI. They do a bunch of other stuff too, but that's their bread and butter. They represent 6.3% of the total market cap of the entire stock market. So they're very large. They're the second largest stock in the entire U.S. stock market. So what happens with NVIDIA is very impactful to the stock market, very impactful to the AI sector. And the stock market, if you look at stocks outside of tech, have been getting crushed for a while. Tech stocks have been doing well. So if bad things or good things happen to tech stocks, that has a very dramatic effect on the stock market. And in the crypto world, we care about that because what happens in the stock market typically bleeds over specifically into the ETF market, and that can affect Bitcoin and Ethereum prices. Okay. So, everything's connected.
Which is funny because this is supposed to be the opt-out, decouple,
Yeah,
like
but
leave
it-
us alone, but we
and
just
it
do
just hasn't
everything
been
that
for
traditional
years.
finance
It
does.
just hasn't been for years. Occasionally you get opportunities where Bitcoin does decouple for like a little bit, but then
Yeah.
it always just springs back.
It's just so funny to me that we could have like theoretically a bad earnings report for a Web2 tech company and Bitcoin crashes as a
Yeah.
result.
Stupid.
You guys are so dumb.
But Bitcoin is considered fintech.
I know.
Fintech is considered tech. the NVIDIA is way bigger than Bitcoin.
But that's all self-fulfilling prophecy. It never has anything to do with fundamental performance of the actual thing.
It doesn't have to do with the self-fulfilling prophecy. It has to do with market manipulation, largely by hedge funds.
Sure. But you can manipulate one thing, and then just because it's all so intertwined and everyone is psychologically on the same page with regards to everything financial, you really only have to, futz with one thing and you can crash all of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
particularly right now, because the stock market is incredibly centralized with tech stocks like NVIDIA, Amazon.
I heard you saying the percentage this morning. It's a lot higher than I thought.
NVIDIA, NVIDIA is 6.3% of the entire stock market.
God,
but
wild.
Together, what is it? The Wonderful Seven or the what do they call it? The Mag 7?
The Magnificent Seven.
Aren't they like 80+%?
It's not 80%, but
or maybe 80% of the gains in the last 5 years or 10 years.
I would have to look it up, the top 7 tech stocks make up something like 30 or 40% of the stock market over the past 2 years. It's a crazy number. You'd have to Google it and double check on me, but the stock market is crazy centralized in these tech stocks. So getting back to the point of NVIDIA, at the end of trading today, when I say end of trading, I'm talking about the stock market, the traditional markets. They stop at 4:30. NVIDIA has its earnings call for their Q4.
Okay.
If you want, you can go on my profile page, go back just a couple videos and look up the major macro events for this week. And I'll share with you what the expectations are for their earnings per share and their revenue. They're crazy, by the way. They're expected to have their earnings per share increase by 60% and their revenue from the last quarter year over year to go up by 73%.
Wow. For context, can you tell us what a normal, we're talking single digit percentage?
We're talking if you go up 10%, you're
killing it. You're
so
absolutely
the expectations are super high for NVIDIA, which is a sign of great, NVIDIA is going to have a great quarter, but are they going to meet expectations? The stock market, even if NVIDIA's revenue goes up by 50% year over year from those quarters. NVIDIA is up today by 3.5%. But the thing is I've been looking at a lot of analysts. A lot of analysts are expecting for NVIDIA to have had a really good Q4 and to beat their numbers, which is wild because a 73% increase in revenue for a company is fucking crazy.
Bonkers. Insane.
It's nuts. And so, anyway, to try to sum this up, that earning report comes out. If expectations are beaten by NVIDIA, even by just a little bit, or the expectations are met, that will be a boon of confidence in the stock market because NVIDIA is largely holding up the entire stock market.
Yeah, we're looking for confidence.
As we mentioned, things like Amazon's earnings, NVIDIA's earnings, Microsoft's earnings are wildly impactful on all global markets right now because of how centralized the stock market is. So if NVIDIA comes out, expectations are good, a boon of confidence comes to the market that says, hey, the floor is not about to fall out from underneath us. And that would also be a boon for the tech sector, which, as we mentioned, Bitcoin and crypto very much so considered fintech and could be a boon for Bitcoin as well. Now, for the overall market update, I am personally expecting bearishness I'm hoping for bearishness today because there's a gap on the stock market that really needs to come down and be filled. If you are unaware of the gaps in that trading strategy, basically, for the stock market, in pre and post market, so the market hasn't opened yet, people can start to kind of bid on stuff. I'm used to talking to the camera now.
Yeah, right.
Hey, you guys are right here.
Where's everybody?
But, people are, and then the market will open, but price has moved, and there will be a gap in price action on the chart. And the thought process and what happens statistically is 90% of the time, price action in the future comes down and fills that. So there's a gap on the stock market chart that's a little bit below. It's we need a 3% move down to close it or something like that, or a 2% move down to close it for the stock market. And then there are no more gaps anywhere that we really have to worry about for the stock market. So then we get rid of that bearish technical analysis factor. If we could get rid of that today, that would be the best, because then we potentially set ourselves up to have a really good NVIDIA earnings call, and we can get rid of that bearish technical piece and hopefully start to move upwards.
More momentum.
And then there's the opportunity to get a lot of good or bad momentum immediately afterwards for NVIDIA. Because today we get NVIDIA's earnings. If that's good or bad, obviously it will affect the market. And then the next day we get Q4 GDP numbers for the United States economy.
Got it.
Obviously that's going to have a big
deal.
impact as well.
What are expectations on that?
I don't know what the expectations are on the Q4 GDP, but we do get CPE. Oh, I always mix it up. Is it PCE or CPE? I think it's PCE.
We have an OPP.
You're getting OPP. But we have PCE inflation data, which is the inflation data that the Fed most cares about. That comes out on Thursday, or is it Friday? It's a Thursday or Friday. And the expectations are actually that inflation data is cooling by 0.1%. So PCE inflation data is inflation, but minus food and minus energy. And food has been one of the biggest drivers of inflation lately. It's been food and housing. But like that's largely caused by like supply constraints, the avian bird flu that's been going around causing chicken prices to go up, all that stuff. And so that's actually expected to come down. So if NVIDIA comes out and is good, and then inflation comes out and says like, hey, it's actually cooling, that helps us think that we're in a positive place to maybe in the second half of the year actually get some rate cuts by the Fed. And then if we get consumer spending report that says like, hey, the US economy, they're still spending a ton of money, we get that information on Friday, there's the opportunity to have a wild bullish swing of confidence in the market Monday through Friday that I think will just kind of like slowly result in prices kind of rebounding. I don't think it'll be an immediate one. I think there's a lot of bearish sentiment, and it's going to take like a lot of good data to kind of to rewind and springboard positive price action. But at the same time, if NVIDIA misses, if Q4 GDP is bad, if inflation comes out and misses it, right now we are at like critical levels of, from a technical analysis standpoint, of support. And if they don't bounce here, you know, I mean, Bitcoin falling to $74,000 looks super, super, super likely to me. So we really, really, really need to have some good data to show some confidence. And then that way, if we get this good data, we're like, cool, the US economy is strong, tech sector is still healthy, inflation and the chance for us to get interest rate cuts later in the year seem likely, we could still have Bitcoin's price come down. But if it goes down further, that's irrational, because in the face of good data, it's like, okay, cool, we're going down. But like a lot of people are, like, we were in an Uber. He was like, I think it's going down to 20,000. And we were like,
we're talking about crypto in this Uber, you know, because we're talking about crypto everywhere we go, and we're together and we're excited about it. And Abdullah, our Uber driver, is just chilling, listening. And I say, Abdullah, are you a cryptocurrency user? And he said, it's my specialty.
Yeah, it's my specialty.
He bought Bitcoin. I think, I don't remember what it was, $15,000 or something. Used it to pay off something. And
bought a car.
Yeah, bought a car with it. And so he was like, what should I buy? What should I, you know? And so it's everywhere.
Yeah, I also liked, he's like, yeah, now that car is really expensive.
Yeah.
But anyway, so just to put a nice little bow on that market update, I know I've been talking for a really long time, but the end of Wednesday through Friday has the opportunity to really set in a bottom. But if Bitcoin keeps sliding afterwards, that will be a very irrational continued bearish move in the face of good economic data. Or we're throwing gasoline on a fire that's already really big. And the bearish correction that we're getting, I mean, it's going to be like a bear market correction, like all the way down to the 55-week EMA at 75,000.
Okay. Thank you for the update, my friend.
Yeah. So we're in a really fragile spot.
We're in a fragile spot. And we need good data. Good news, good data. Speaking of good news, this is the Rise Up Morning Show, where you can get helpful news, commentary, answers to your crypto questions. If you've got a crypto question, leave it in the comments. We'll do our best to really help you understand what's going on here. And that's why I love this question. It's one of my favorites to talk about, is how do you determine what to spend more time or money on? If you're just looking at all this stuff, the crypto space moves so fast. Even the stock space, the AI space, whatever it is. How do you, when you hear about something on the news, in your Twitter feed, on your TikTok feed, decide this is something I should look into further? What do you check it against? Where do you go? And then ultimately, how do you evaluate, I'm going to give this another look or not?
So this is the theme of which I think I'll post probably today, my sponsored video for Movement.
Okay.
So one of the reasons that I personally agreed to take that sponsorship and do the video about it, and actually I was talking to my dad about this, there is this, I don't know what the best way to describe this story is, but when the sewing machine was
go on, yes.
Riveted. How many stories that start when the sewing machine do you know that ended up being
when the sewing
bangers?
machine was first a thing and first being worked on? The eye of the needle was at the top, the back of the needle, like where it was with hand sewing. It was basically just trying to mechanize hand sewing. And the innovation that really led to its ultimate success and, taking off was simply moving the eye to the bottom of the needle so that the loop is formed under the fabric as the needle's going down. You don't have to like feed the entire needle through.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't tell us we don't ever teach you nothing on this show.
Yeah. That single innovation exploded the utility of the sewing machine.
Okay.
Bullish on sewing machines.
Fact
after
check
that.
yourself, brother.
Looking at something like movement in a sea of like an overly populated sea of layer 2s, for example. And
so many layer 2s.
You can take this logic and apply it to anything. Gaming, real world assets, DeFi, layer 2s, I don't care. Pick the niche and look for that innovation of moving the eye from the top to the bottom of the needle. All of that really just to say that the thing that is ultimately going to lead to more success is a small micro adjustment. It's identifying a small thing that's holding people back and fixing it. And I have absolutely no clue if move is going to be the thing. And now I mean the language move.
Okay.
But it could be. It's a difference, and the one thing I'm super not excited about are more layer 2s launching that actually don't change anything except for the brand package.
Yeah.
Like
it's Ethereum and it's faster and cheaper.
Yeah, no, it's faster, cheaper Ethereum with a different color scheme, and there are 9,000 of them, all with different logos, and that's the only differentiator between these things. So when we're looking at DeFi projects, or we're looking at gaming projects, or we're looking at real world asset projects, that's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to find like, okay, this one is actually different because of at least this one little thing. Because, we don't like change.
Yeah.
But little bits are okay. So that's kind of how I start to parse things out, like, and put them on lists of projects that I would be willing to keep an eye on. Not to say that I'm not buying anything right now except for Bitcoin. But building that watch list of stuff, because that's what bear markets are for. Bear markets are for taking smaller, risk on positions in things that have potential that people are still working on. So the other big thing that you should be doing right now is really paying attention to who's changing their tone, who's speaking to their people differently, who's like posting on social media differently, who is not posting anymore. Someone made a comment earlier about like, where is so-and-so, some shitty influencer? Like, that's a common theme when the markets go down. The worst people shut up because they actually have nothing to say and they have no clue what's going on. So there's nothing for them to talk about, and they don't want anyone to call them out on the fact that they're morons. And the same is true for crypto projects. Like the best part about getting these like washes in the market with lots of blood in the streets is that the worst stuff gets hit the hardest. So the things that have the biggest percentage drops are the things that were mostly propped up only by speculation and by people who don't really truly get it, want it, or care about it. And the second they realize like this bet is not going to play out, they will leave. But stuff with better fundamental support will bleed, but not as much. So look for stuff, in a sea of things that are all down 20%, look for the shit that's down 60%, because that's the worst. And then look for the stuff that's down 10%, because those have more fundamental support.
So you're telling everybody to buy Litecoin right now.
Buy Litecoin.
Yeah.
Sell your house and buy
Sell
Litecoin.
your house and buy Litecoin.
Don't sell your house.
Don't sell your house and buy
Litecoin. What I would like to say is a slightly different route than what our typical answer is.
Okay, I like that.
For a lot of new people, we spend a lot of time educating people. Like, use a site like DeFi Llama. It's great. Use a site like DApp Radar. It's great to be able to try to, navigate on-chain data and find tokens that have good fundamental support.
Yeah.
But I'd like to peel that back an extra layer to a real simple human question is, as you hear people talking about certain projects and you have that short list, actually take a moment to not use any of your Web3 knowledge.
Okay.
Take a moment to go onto their website and just see what are they trying to do, and do I think that's valuable? Just I start with that super simple question. Allow yourself an opportunity to use your own brain and your own common sense without including any of this Web3 data and this Web3 research, which is really great. You should take the time to learn it to really get to the next level. But you can filter out so much garbage in this space by simply just detaching yourself. Go, okay, I'm going to look at this as a person who, I think the majority of people are intelligent. They're just missing, some education on things, and Web3 is very different for people. So you have been your entire life using your common sense. So use an opportunity to take advantage of that. Go into the website and say, what are these guys trying to do? Can I make sense of what they're trying to do without using my Web3 brain? Do I think that's actually valuable? And most of the time, the answer to that question in this space is going to be no. And you can filter out a lot of garbage. Now, some of those things that you're going to say no to are going to pump in price for silly reasons, because this is a silly space.
Yeah.
But you put yourself in a position where you're going to greatly reduce the amount of research you're in. And
wise words from Will. This is all silly.
This is all silly. But that's the thing. Like, take an opportunity to go like, hey, I'm just going to use my common sense for a second. Is this valuable? Do I understand what this company is trying to communicate to me? If those answers are no, walk away. You might be walking away from a project that makes a lot of money, but at the same time, you're also walking away from projects that in this bear market are going to go down 80, 90% in a moment. And maybe never come back. And projects where you're like, oh, I think this makes sense. Their marketing makes sense. What they're trying to do makes sense. And I think this is genuinely valuable, are projects that can return in this bear market. So even if you bought a top and then the market slides, a lot of people did. I have some high repurchases back into Aerodrome too. But, I look at them and I go like, oh, I think that's valuable. I believe that, that adds confidence to me, that I think that as the markets come back and turn green, that's going to be a project, among others, that will make a new high again.
Yeah. Excellent. I'm going to tie both your answers together with the thread to say that when you're talking about assessing whether or not this thing is different or if it has value, really the most helpful thing I think that you need to do first is you can't do that if you don't have a sense of the status quo, like what is normal or what is good. And some of the metrics you might look at that are, revenue. You might look at increases in activity or use or adoption, increases in mind share. Are people talking about this in a way that is meaningful? And I would say if you're trying to invest in cryptocurrencies beyond like Bitcoin or beyond earning a little yield on your USDC, your stablecoins savings account style, that it really would help you to spend just more time in a community, in the culture, getting a sense of what is normal here, what is valuable here, what are the problems that blockchain can actually meaningfully solve, and what problems are just buzzwords and hype.
Well, they can make gambling far more approachable.
Hey.
Something that's already wildly approachable.
Yeah, exactly. Just faster and stronger. It's like
faster, stronger, and more
gamblier.
More, I don't know, marketable with memes. I don't
know. And if you want to do that, if you want to increase your acumen in that way, the couple actionable steps I would tell you are you're in the right place. First of all, come back, watch the Rise Up Morning Show. We're here Monday through Thursday, and you will learn over time by participating in these conversations. But if you want to start from the beginning, you can check out our Discord community, discord.gg/riseup. It's totally free to join. And we have lots of resources there. But the number one resource that you get is you're part of a global community of learners at all levels of experience, a place you can ask questions, ask for a second opinion. You can look up the questions other people have asked, because many people have a lot of the same questions. And that makes you feel better. You don't feel so stupid when you're like, oh man, this is a dumb question, when you see a lot of other people asking that question too. Totally normal. And then check out the riseupmorningshow.com, because in addition to the Discord, we've got a lot of other resources. We've got a series of recorded classes that you can get for just a couple of bucks that will teach you things like how to start using crypto to buy, sell, swap, store it securely, turn it back into cash, how to earn yield on your crypto, how to do technical analysis to actually make meaning of what these charts might be trying to tell you. And then if you really want to accelerate your journey, it's not fast enough for you, we've got premium memberships to make every kind of paid service that we have cheaper, like our one-on-one coaching. If you just want to sit down with one of us and have us gently take your hand and shake it a little bit to walk you off the edge or something like that, it's all waiting for you at the riseupmorningshow.com. And just by spending, I don't know, I learned this stuff by spending 5 minutes at a time when I was, waiting for dinner to be done, or relaxing at the end of the day, or getting up in the morning. I would add it to my, list of things that are valuable to read, to see what questions people were asking, to ask my own questions, and learn that way just by doing one step at a time. You're early. No need to go fast. You don't have to buy something just because everybody else is buying it. In fact, most of the time, I would say you shouldn't. So thank you for the question. That was a really good one. And I see we have a few other good comments here that I will read to you. Gamblier. LOL.
Bullish.
Thank you, future father. I hope, future father, that your future baby is very happy and healthy. What do you all think of the DeFi projects on Solana, like Jito, Jupiter, Radium, Orca, Marinade, etc.?
Well, those are all great projects. I mean, if you want to be able to understand why I say they're great, I'm not talking about their cryptocurrency price action. I mean, if you look at the price, I think Jupiter is a great example of a coin whose price action has been fairly disappointing.
I would agree.
But at the same time, it's a great solution.
Yeah. The price is disappointing in part because of how great the solution is and how much people use it.
Yes, exactly. And like Radium's a fantastic decentralized exchange. Orca's good as well. Jido's good. Marinade is also.
Is it Jido? I say Jido.
I say Jido.
I also say MAGA, apparently, or MAGA instead of MAGA.
Yeah.
Anyways,
You're the only person on earth that says
for
that.
like Make America Great Again?
Yes.
Why do you use that?
Because
Because
I
he
am
just
a fool.
insists on being annoying.
Okay. Well, that's fair. We are influencers on the internet. You got to trigger people somehow for engagement. So anyway, you got to have people correct you in the comment section. That is what some people do. You know, that people will like purposely include
rage
mistakes.
bait, yeah.
People, no, it's just like purposely include a mistake so you get people to engage to like correct.
Fact
And
check
it
yourself,
works.
brother.
But like the thing is that I've never done it on purpose. I just sometimes make mistakes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Happens.
But what was I talking about?
Good DeFi, Jido.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
Sorry,
yes.
sidetracked.
So why I say this is good projects is go on something like DeFi Llama, DeFi and that tracks the fundamental adoption of DeFi projects. So you can go into Solana and look at the top projects that have like, when I say top projects, I mean the amount of money being brought and used on these projects. And you can do that for Base. You can do that for Ethereum Mainnet. You can do that for Sui. You can do that for Aptos, you know, so on and so forth, right? And you can use that to see, hey, like, are people bringing their money on here? If so, they're bringing their money on here because it's providing value. And therefore, maybe it's a solution that I go and explore myself and, you know, lend out some crypto or stake some Solana on Marinade or, you know, go and use Radium and explore Jupiter. And maybe you stake your Jupiter because there are some good rewards there, even though the price of the token hasn't been bad. It just hasn't been great.
Well,
and so there's a lot of stuff there. You can go explore the solutions and at the same time also potentially find some projects that could have some really good pumpamentals.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
Diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And that's how you find, I mean, that's how I found Aerodrome at 5 cents because I saw like growth and also I thought Base had an opportunity to onboard a lot of people. That's how I found Morpho super early when it was below $1 also, because like there was a lot of money flowing to this project. And I was like, okay, this is clearly something that has value. And again, it goes back to the question that I ask for every crypto project is this or can this get adoption amongst its targeted audience? The answer is yes. Explore it further. And again, going back to what I said before, if you go onto a company's website and you go, I think this has value, that is also partially answering that question of, can this get adoption amongst its targeted audience? I should explore this further.
Yeah, good answer. Alex, what about you? DeFi and Solana, bullish, bearish?
I'm bullish on DeFi in general, and that ecosystem has people and
The
money,
most
and
money.
especially if we see some sort of a pivot, because there's a lot of people in and around the Solana ecosystem that are, you know, categorically unhappy with the optics of Crime Chain. You know, which has just sort of been this trend. You know, people. So okay, let me back up. If you look at Solana and the sentiment on crypto Twitter right now in general, which is, I would not say it's worth like, you know, running your life based on what crypto Twitter sentiment is.
You would?
Go figure. But you can get an interesting kind of pulse check on how the people who do the most yapping about this stuff, how are they talking about it? And, you know, people concerned or confused about like why there's so many rug pulls on Solana. It's actually like really simple.
Because of how successful it's been.
It's because of how successful it's been.
And also how easy it is to use.
Yeah, it's easy to use. There's people
Highly
there and there's a
performant.
lot of money there, which means the criminals are going to go there. Why would you be a criminal and go do crime on an empty blockchain with no people?
Oh,
Sorry,
shots
guys.
fired.
With,
Dang.
with no volume and no people and no liquidity. You just wouldn't do that. That would be so stupid.
Yeah.
So you go to the place where all the people and the money are. And it's come to a head where more people are finally upset enough to focus on other things. But these people still often have money in that ecosystem. So rather than bridge it out, you know, dBridge publishes this phenomenal chart. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay.
This phenomenal chart. Well, I'll do that in a second. That shows like the flows of money being bridged from one chain to another and like where it's all going.
That's interesting.
So Solana
like that.
constantly has a large amount of outflow going to, you know, EVM stuff, but Solana is also the most heavily bridged to chain. So it's got a tremendous amount of inflow coming from the ETH side.
Yeah.
And if you think about the fact that lots of people have lots of money in the Solana ecosystem, and there's a desire to pivot back to utility and things that aren't crime, then it stands to reason that DeFi, being the area of the industry that people actually use, that seems like a place for the beneficiaries to be most widely known. And one of the things that you can do on DeFi Llama, like Will is suggesting, is look right now, and obviously there's a sea of red. So if you look on the big screen here,
Yep.
Sorry, TikTok. There's this big list of all of the active protocols on Solana, sorted by what category they're in. You know, whether we're in a staking protocol, whether we're looking at Raydium here as a DEX. All this sort of stuff. You can see their active current TVL, and then the price change, or not the price change, the TVL changes. TVL is an acronym, stands for total value locked.
And if you click into these, you can visualize it as a chart over time. It's very 100%. Helpful.
Yeah. So you can kind of see like, okay, everyone's down. Who's down the most and who's down the least? And for example,
and also who's up? Looks like Ondo.
Yeah. Yeah. And who might be up? Where is money going? Drift, which only categorizes Solana, is down the least, so they're holding a little bit stronger, still making some revenue. That's an interesting, so that would be something that I would like put, okay, note to self, Drift is weathering this storm a little bit better than some of its competitors. And then if you were to compare something like Camino and Jupiter, okay, they're both down about the exact same thing, although Camino is seeing a pop-up on the day. So I would be looking into Camino more, because, okay, why are people going there right now instead of going everywhere else?
Yep.
And just sort of follow the ebb and flow of money in and around the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And you can do this for everything. So if you're more interested in, like, okay, Berachain is newer, you're more interested in that, you can do the exact same thing, and you can come check all of these different things on Berachain, and where is TVL that's currently there? Where is it sitting? Where is it going? Who's leaving or who's losing it? Blah, blah, blah. Do it on any ecosystem. That's why this website is so freaking amazing.
Yeah. And also on that point too, and this is a slight tangent, but like when markets are red like this, and you start exploring DeFi products, to me, now is the time to start buying some things you can stake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now is the time, because like we're at a low. So like you don't have to be worried about maybe like a week-long lockup period or a 2-week-long lockup period, because we're going to have so much time in the next major bull move upwards. Now is the time, if you're buying something that you can stake, in this case, like, Solana on Marinade.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the time to go do it.
Yeah.
Or
because
take your Ethereum and go and stake it on
Uniswap, Lido,
thank you.
Pool. Yeah. I want to just say about you mentioned Ondo, and we're talking about real world assets and DeFi. And I want to talk about the flywheel that's created here. What does tokenizing something do? And let's take, for example, meme coins here. When you add a token to a meme, it gives velocity to liquidity. Meaning, if something newsworthy happens, if Donald Trump, I don't know, he slips and falls on stage, there's going to be a meme coin called Trump Fall or Trump Slip or Slip Trump, or probably all of those things and 50 more.
Yeah.
And immediately they will have just a market cap of a couple $1 million, because people will flow attention and liquidity to what is relevant right now. And having more things attached to tokens that people can trade and speculate on is going to increase the options for people to participate in DeFi. Your rental apartment right now, if you want to sell it, you got to get a realtor, you got to clean it up, you got to put it on the market, you got to advertise it on Zillow. And the odds that somebody just comes by the day you put it up for sale and says, let me take it, are pretty low.
Yeah.
Even with all those tools to tell people you're selling it, it's not a very liquid asset. But if I tokenize the deed to that apartment, and let's say I fractionalize it, I split it up into 1,000 pieces, and then I go on a website like, I don't know, Marinade or somewhere like that, Jido, Jupiter, whatever, some DeFi protocol that is allowing you to put up a pool or stake or lend this tokenized asset. Now, all of a sudden, people can see this is a $300,000 property. There's 100 shares, and there are tokens, just up for distribution. I'm going to buy one of those. Immediate. It's accelerating the velocity of liquidity. And so when more things are tokenized, there will be more ways for people to spend their dollars. I just think DeFi and RWA as like a flywheel will make each other bigger and bigger and bigger. And a lot of people will, if they're paying attention, I think probably do very well with that.
Yeah. Well, so many things it's like in crypto, which we do a good job and a bad job of lowering that barrier to entry for people to get involved in finance. We also do a bad job because some of the UIs we have suck, but a lot of the UIs in Solana are great.
Come for me.
That's something that Ethereum needs to fix. But otherwise they're going to keep getting their lunch eaten. But that's what I said. We just hopefully are in a position where the economy is allowing people an opportunity to explore expanding their
Well,
financial options.
Like I always say, I'll say it again. I've said it a million times. I will continue to say it.
I will absolutely die on this hill.
Now you don't have to buy anything, but if you stop paying attention to all of this stuff now, you are leaving at about the worst possible time.
Okay.
Right now, the number of people that I'm seeing who are changing their tune to, I just need a relief rally so I can sell stuff and I'll never come back because I'm exhausted.
Not ideal.
Bearish. The reason, so, okay, look at the markets right now. And I'm not saying this to flex, only a tiny bit, but to prove a point.
My dad can beat up your dad.
The price of every altcoin in my portfolio could drop by another 50% and I would still be in profit. And that's because when shit starts dumping into the ground and everyone, like all the dumb KOLs and influencers stop talking because they realize they don't know what's going on and they just want to wait till it's bullish again.
Their numbers just got a little worse, so they stopped.
Yeah, their views went down, so they quit making content. And then everyone on crypto Twitter is eating each other, and the ETH maxis are screaming at the Sol maxis, and the Bitcoin maxis are laughing at everybody. And, you know, it's like bad, and the vibe is down and all this stuff. That's when you just put your head down and start tracking the ebb and flow of revenue and money in and around the ecosystem, and watch and look for people who are still like moving, building, trying to continue forward, who's still going to conferences, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
If you leave now because you're tired and because you fucked it up and you didn't take profits properly, and
I am tired.
We're all tired.
We're tired.
And you didn't sell when you should have sold stuff, and you listened to people who told you that it was all going to $1 million and all of this stuff, and now you're underwater and you're sad and upset about it. I've been there. And the only way to fix that is to not disappear, is to not quit paying attention. And like the buying a bunch of shit, you don't have to keep buying every dip. In fact, you probably should stop doing that if you are underwater and you're not sure where the bottom's going to be and all this sort of stuff. It's okay to chill, but don't leave. And everyone always tells me like, oh, I can't wait for the bear market. I'm never going anywhere. And then I just watch all of you leave every single time. So if you feel personally attacked by this, I am talking to you.
He's talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
No, you got to do the puzzle.
Got to do the puzzle. But no, it's my number one piece of advice. This is advice. Don't like disappear because you made a mistake. Learn from the mistake, identify what you did wrong, and then don't do that again. Like, you know, the only reason I am in the position I'm in is because whenever the market is green, I move some stuff into stablecoins and wait for it to be red. And then whenever it's red, the only thing I have to think about is, do I want to move some stablecoins back into stuff that I care about long term?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole strategy right there.
The mistakes that I made is, granted, I was able to get into projects early, make a bunch of trades, get in and out, and I had.
You were able to do it early because you were paying attention.
Because I was paying attention.
During
but I
the
want to
bad
talk about the
times.
mistake I made. So I was exactly doing that. I was able to get into a bunch of tokens super early, all the way back in 2023. So I had probably like 15 or 16 very, very, very profitable trades, and 3 losses, particularly around the Japanese carry trade. And then that was a big loss. But luckily, I had a lot of profits to outweigh that. But what I made a mistake with was not every single time making a trade, permanently taking my position size and just putting it into stables or putting it into Bitcoin. I was taking some, and I would take some out and go, and like I had a few trips and did a lot of fun and did some nice things with my friends and girlfriends and things, or girlfriend,
Like,
singular,
Freudian slip,
singular, girlfriend. And
no, you're getting real defensive.
I had a good time. I'm getting super defensive. And so where was it go? Yeah, so that was my mistake. Because right now I have a position size that is still very much so up, but I still had a lot of all of my altcoins, my altcoin bag, like at risk still. My altcoin bag is way bigger because I was able to get in early. But if I had done what you were doing and taking more, like just 10% of my stable coins of profits each time, just throwing it away, not throwing it away, but throwing it in a position where it could then just earn interest in weight.
Taking it off the table.
Yeah, that'd be fine. So I'm still up, but I'm exposed very much so to the volatility of the market, which thankfully I'm very used to after being in the space for 9 years. So I'm not really stressed and worried about it. And also another reason why I'm not stressed and worried about it is because I am looking further down the line where I see strategic Bitcoin reserves being positioned, or digital asset reserves being positioned between 22 states right now and the federal
22.
government. Larry Fink and BlackRock still love it, all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, this market's gonna come back.
Yeah.
It's just like I got to ride this downward slope, and on paper, I'm going to see my net worth really, really drop, which I've seen before. And then I think it's going to come back. But again, my mistake this time was taking too large of my altcoin profits and re-putting them back into the market, and not taking enough and just putting it permanently on the sideline, and then waiting for an opportunity like this.
Yeah.
And that takes patience,
It does.
because a bull run can be, what was this bull run, like 6 months or something? No, I think it was.
I mean, if you go back to
after
the day,
like
I
the
think we're
big
talking about.
consolidation after the ETF hype,
Yeah.
where I think we got up to like 60 or 70,000. That consolidation lasted for 3 months or so, 4 months or so, and then we had a big move upwards that I think lasted for another 3 or 4 months or so. That can feel like the market's really going to keep going up for forever, and that you feel like you have that feeling of like, okay, I got to keep having my money at play. And that's a tough emotional feeling to kind of fight against. But again, you have to have that strategy and remember the pain of these kinds of moments, because that's worse.
Well, and there's also, like you say, patience, but this space moves so fast that it almost creates more tension. It's easy to be patient if, I don't know, you're buying a certificate of deposit and you're not getting news about it every single day, but every day people are online, they're checking the chart, they're listening to shows like this, or shows like Jim Cramer or whatever. There are a lot of touch points with this news that can make people feel like they need to do something.
Yeah.
Because they see someone else doing something, or they feel like they are missing out on information or opportunity.
Mhm.
And it is, it just, the longer you're here,
Yeah.
the tireder you get. And the more you say, I don't have to keep up with that.
Yeah.
I release it.
And here's one other thing too, that's an emotional mistake that I made as well, is I was taking stable coins and pushing them to the side, but I was looking at like how big my bag was, and I was like, cool, I need one more trade to like,
Oh,
That's
and
a
I've told you guys this,
One
I
more.
need one more
Yeah.
trade to get the house that I want for myself and my girlfriend, and also like a ring and all that kind of stuff. And I was
Yeah.
like, I just need this one more
one
trade.
more
like,
trade.
and like I'm good, and then then
Danger.
I'm going to take this and just push to the stablecoin side. And I now have a rule that I put next to the Casey Craig rule, which is if I ever feel tempted to take a screenshot of my portfolio, you sell immediately. And if you ever think about, oh, okay, I just need like one more and I'll be able to get that thing and do
Yeah.
that thing, I'm just like, well, I might want to take half of this and put it into stablecoins.
You know, speaking of Casey Craig, she said yesterday was talking about revenge trading. And, do you,
no, I have
have
to
you
get a
ever
puzzle
heard
piece.
that word? Oh, you got a puzzle piece too? And this is an interesting term that if you're unfamiliar with it, essentially it means that somebody who puts some money on the table loses it, and they say, okay, well, now I'm going to put twice as much on the table, and I'm going to make this money back by betting on the same asset. It went down. It can't keep going down forever. And Will, you told a story about a friend of yours when you were at the casino back in the day, and he very quickly, you were, what were you? It was a good, tell the story again and how he lost all the money. Just
Yeah. So in college, I paid my rent by going to the casino 3 to 4 times a week. I was, it was in Connecticut. It was going to Mohegan Sun. That's how I paid my rent. And I went with a buddy who was basically a professional gambler in college. And he was making like, in college, he was making like $80,000, $90,000 a year gambling. And so I go there, he would just like walk in with about $20,000, $25,000 and play Baccarat.
Yeah.
Which has super high odds. It's basically like 50% odds. And so he goes to his table and I go to the blackjack table. And so I'm just there, I'm playing small hands. I'm there for 25 minutes. And my friend was Pakistani. And I turn around, his face is like white as a ghost. And I'm like, oh my God. I was just like, what has happened to you? And he was like, I just lost $25,000. And I was like, it's been 28 minutes. It hasn't even been a half hour yet. And he put a small bet down, lost, doubled it in order to try to get his money back, lost, doubled it, lost, doubled it, lost, doubled it, lost. He lost like 8 hands in a row. And it got to the point where he lost and got cleared out of his $25,000 or $22,000. And I just looked at him and I put my hand on his shoulder and I was like, well, I need money for rent. So you're going to be here for a while. I'm going to be at this table for a minute and I'll talk to you later. And he just like went away and I kept playing till I had enough money.
You just stared at the ceiling. Yeah. Don't engage in revenge trading. Don't be too emotional about it. Ed says, woo, been there once or twice. Future Father, the name of the website we were on a minute ago that Alex was showing on the big screen is DeFi Llama. It's spelled like it sounds. DeFi and llama, like save the drama for your llama. Isn't that what llamas say?
Nope. Nope.
We're not experts in animalogy.
Very. Except for
Entomology.
dolphins.
Whatever that was.
Except for dolphins. Dolphins in the chat. If you've got a crypto
No.
question, this is the place for it. We can probably speak a little more cogently about crypto than we can
Oh, hey, you
about.
didn't get to hear the dolphin screech.
I know it's
Yeah,
wonderful.
isn't that great?
I know, right? I
You
can
don't
do it
have
in
to
person right now for you. If you want.
No.
Okay.
A little bit of that dolphin solo. So let us know what your crypto questions are. Alex, how's our chat going on TikTok? I can't see it. It's so far away.
And my chat's over there. And
Good.
everyone who's asking questions on my live, I'm sorry.
We love you.
We love you.
We're grateful you're here. Tune into the Rise Up Morning Show every Monday through Thursday, usually at 7 a.m. Central. Tomorrow, we are also starting a bit late. And I will tell you, tomorrow, we have got a great show. We have got lined up a big old panel of guests. Mac Lorden, we're going to try and wake him up early and get him on. We've got Tova, the founder of Bitcoin. Yes, you heard that right. And give it a chance.
So you're telling me.
And
there's
then
a
we've
chance?
also got our friend Lindsay from Stellar coming to hang out. And I think we're going to sit over there. It'll be a great panel conversation with folks about their experiences at ETH Denver, what they're building, and answering your crypto questions. That is going to be at 8 a.m. Mountain Time, which is 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, about 24 hours from now, a little less than that. And we would love to see you there. And of course, if you want to catch our recordings, those live on YouTube. You can check out the riseupmorningshow.com for all of our socials. And this is the time in the show where I have to remind you that the channels you are watching this program on are our only channels. We do not have alternate accounts, and we will never, ever send you a friend request, reach out to you directly unsolicited just to check on you, ask how your trading's going. By the way, I got a scammer the other day who was in my inbox, and it was a, hey, how are the markets treating you message, but it came from GPT, and I could tell they copy pasted it because here is a message that will work. Hey, how are the markets treating you?
Nice. Yeah.
I was like, oh man. So the scammers are getting help from GPT, but not enough help clearly, but they
Not
can still be a little tricky. All you need to know is that we're never going to message you. We're never going to send you a, hey, do some copy trades with me on any platform. If you join the Discord
Never,
server,
ever.
if you follow us on Facebook, if you add us on TikTok, and you get someone who is requesting to follow you or whatever, that looks like us, it's not. If you ignore them, block them, they can't hurt you. So we're almost at that time where we're getting ready to ride our dogs and ponies off into the sunset, but we probably got time for a couple more questions or
Yeah, I've got
last good topic. We're heading off to a couple of different events today. I'm going to go to an event that Uniswap is hosting at a rock climbing gym. They're going to have Crypto the Game has a panel there, and I am just excited to learn a little more about Uniswap's chain, see what they're doing, and maybe meet some people to deepen a relationship for the show. You're going to multi-chain day. Are you going to multi-chain day? They've
I
got-
haven't even looked at
I'm gonna do
events yet, so
the
I'll do that
Solana
after the
thing
show.
and the multi-chain day.
Yeah, there's
Solana's
a
going on all
Solana
day.
Ecosystem Summit today, a multi-chain day, and then tonight Stellar is having another event, After Dark something. I think they're calling it.
I can't remember
Also-
the name of it, but another one, yeah, which we'll be at for sure.
We'll definitely be at. So if you're at ETH Denver, send us a message. Let us know where you are and what you're vibing with and what you're excited about. And if you want to hang out with us, you'll see us around. We look just like we look here in real life. So what do we got, Alex? Do we have any good questions in the comments?
Yeah. Okay. So give me 2 seconds to whoever just said we just sent you a DM. We absolutely didn't. It was not any of
Nope,
us.
not us.
Nope.
It looks like us though, doesn't it? It really looks like us. They're very convincing, but
It's just stupid.
it's not us.
This is a
It's a
gross,
gross
misrepresentation of
misrepresentation.
the
They
facts.
know how to use copy paste on our profile pictures.
Yeah. Shout out to Cosmic Crypto, who gave the tip that now TikTok specifically has a little avatar feature for your profile photo, where if you change it to this avatar, when people visit your profile, it does a little animation like a wave or something. And scammers who replicate it are taking a screenshot of it. And so theirs is static, but I just don't want to change my profile picture.
So first of all, no,
terrible
I
of
don't
me?
think it's worth it. It might help.
Because it doesn't look like me.
It doesn't. No, and I mean, if you go and look at them, the movement is like this. It's almost
Like breathing?
imperceptible.
Yeah.
So I don't. I mean,
I
you
think
know,
his did a little wavy woo.
every time I've looked at it, it just does like a little.
Well, that's probably
I
because
don't know. I'm just thinking that
Like not enough.
after just one more trade, I'll be able to pay for like a because you can get, oh my god, what's the word? A PR company.
Yeah,
They
oh
can
yeah.
get you on like
Absolutely.
the
Forbes
news
and
for one
whatever.
interview, and then as soon as you're on like one article, you can send that to TikTok, and then you get the official show.
Yeah, I'm gonna send them my package now that I've been.
No, we really need to. We're
we-
so much shit.
I think
It's
we
just
can
like-
send our YouTube page and be like, look at our, podcast or whatever. And also, like, I'll be like, I was in that one TV show that one time, and maybe I could send him a commercial.
I did
or
a
two from
Mountain
the
Dew
past.
commercial from 20
Yeah.
years ago.
I'm that guy, pal. My many fans want the blue check
I'm not
mark.
being hyperbolic. Evan was in a Mountain Dew commercial many
I
years
was.
Oh,
ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, probably my. I have.
His hair is really short.
I
He has
have-
no
Whoa.
facial hair.
Ugh.
Oh man, yeah.
Gross.
I'll show it to you later. I have played Hamlet. I have studied movement and classically trained my voice, but the biggest credit I've ever had in terms of the thing that most people have seen me in, aside from my TikTok videos, has been did 3 different Mountain Dew commercials when I was a sophomore in college, and my mom and sister got to be in one of them as extras. It was really fun.
Nice.
It was really fun. So, fun fact, that's mine. Questions? You said we got a couple of good ones, and you
Yep.
told me 2 minutes, and I've given you 2.
So just generally kind of about, the time of the market cycle, where are we? Is altcoin season definitely not a thing? This has kind of been like a general
yeah,
sentiment.
we
I've
answer
seen
this
comment
question a lot.
So
Tells you how people feel.
maybe for final thoughts as we go around, we can just sort of like give our take on all of those questions. So the big ones to hit here are, where do you think we are in some kind of a cycle? What are you looking at right now? What's your shortest, tersest answer on when altcoin season? And then, just generally like, is it all over forever? Are we all doomed? When golden bull run?
Short term doomed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so I always say, whenever I see this, I always ask people, it's impossible to say if you know nothing about someone's personal financial situation. So it's silly to like answer that question because there is really no one answer to it. If you're asking me if the bull run is over for this week, yeah, probably. Beyond that, who knows? Is it over for the next 10 years? No, absolutely not. Is Bitcoin going to be down for the next 7 months? Literally nobody knows. It's all about time frame. So if you are looking at something like Bitcoin and your goal is to grow a position in it over the next how many years as a part of your retirement plan, and you're concerned about the 1 hour chart, you're doing it wrong.
And
And you are unnecessarily stressing yourself out and getting more gray hair or just losing it. So I would encourage you to match your time frame of observation to your time frame of expectation. So if you're looking at this over the next 10 years and you're looking at the 1 hour chart or the 4 hour chart, why? Why are you doing that?
Tell me why.
If you're not day trading, you have no business looking at a 1 hour chart. It's
No.
only going to bring you pain and misery. Ask me how often I look at the 1 hour chart.
Alex, how often do you look at the 1 hour
I don't
chart?
look at the 1 hour chart.
Wow.
Yeah, go figure. I didn't even look at the daily chart for the past week. I had no clue that the market was down as much as it was because I unplugged for a few days. I was on a family trip. I prepared for my trip by taking some profits on stuff that I was currently up on. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'll keep
This is
some
a-
exposure. So like Solana was at 177. I sold some because I wasn't going to look at it. I kept some in Sol and I moved some to USDC. Turned out to be a great move, right? The way that you have to look at this is to match your own expectation. And if you don't have an expectation, that's the first question you need to answer. If you're just kind of like flying by the seat of your pants and trying to follow what the sentiment on social media is about it, those are the people who end up the most hosed. So most likely everybody watching this needs to just zoom out and take a breather. And if you're, like all the stuff we've been saying today so far, if you're super underwater, don't try to revenge trade your way out of it. You're just going to make it worse. Acknowledge the mistakes that you made. Stop buying the dip for 10 minutes.
For 10 minutes.
And if you want to keep up the pattern of allocating money to your investments into your portfolio, just buy some stable coins. That's what I do. If I'm like sitting here looking at the charts, trying to decide whether or not, today is the day I want to make my weekly dollar cost average buys into stuff. And I'm like, I don't feel like thinking about it right now. I don't want to, whatever, I'll just put it into USDC, add it to my Aave position and leave it alone. And that's what most of it's at right now. I'm like 65% stable coins.
Okay, let me ask you this. Where in the cycle do you think we are?
Yeah.
And when altcoin season? Because you touched everything else really beautifully.
So
which is a creepy thing to say into a microphone.
Yes.
Come for me.
Hope
Hope you used the come for me sound.
No, I used Gwump, but
Oh.
I gave you a don't come for me just for fun.
Come for him.
I have never once, and if you don't believe me, I encourage, do this at your own risk because some of them are pretty cringe. You can scroll back. I've posted over 1,000 videos over the last how many years? I have never once, ever in my 7 years of crypto been confident about where we are in the cycle, ever.
Fact check
If I see
yourself,
people
brother.
telling me like altcoin season starts next week, I'm like, I don't know. I'm very comfortable in what I don't know. And one thing I've never known is exactly where we are in the cycle. Someone asked me like, did we top in December? I'm like, top until when? Until February? Clearly, yes. Beyond summer?
Yeah.
I have no idea. And let it be known as I say this, that I have no idea and my entire portfolio is in profit right now because I'm extremely comfortable in what I don't know. And what I do know is that you sell things on green days and you buy things on red days. And if you're not sure what to do, buy some stable coins. So I have no clue where we are in the cycle. I have no clue if we're going to see an altcoin season. I know that whenever I see a bunch of people on social media screaming about how altcoins are going to explode starting next week and there's no reason for that to happen, I get incredibly bearish. I get like, okay, yeah, it's probably going to crash because these people are opening longs. This market is very manipulated. And whenever the people with the power see that there's a tremendous amount of open longs, why wouldn't you liquidate those idiots?
Yeah.
The thing is, right now you have record amounts of shorts.
Exactly.
on
So
Ethereum.
now I'm thinking
So
like,
now
okay.
you're like, okay, once this market turns around, it's going to turn around fast.
And why wouldn't you liquidate those idiots?
Yeah.
But of course, then the question from a manipulator's point of view comes like, well, how much worse can we make it? And you have to remember that you're trading against people who are infinitely more patient than you are. These are people with gajillions of dollars that are very comfortable being in the red for the next 6 months to a year if they have to be.
Yeah.
If that means quadrupling the amount of gains that they're going to make on the back end, and the only thing they have to do is fleece a bunch of impatient ADHD retail traders out of their over-leveraged longs and shorts, of course, I take that every day of the week as a manipulator.
Yeah,
I
well,
will
you know,
absolutely
buyback
die on
has
this
to
hill.
get back.
Yeah, well, okay, wait.
Buyback has to get buyback.
Quick
has to
time
get
out,
back.
and then
yeah.
I'll get off my soapbox. Can we appreciate the absolute just mega long dick move post Binance, where or post Bybit, where Binance was just like, "You guys need some money,"
Yeah.
and it's just like, can you imagine being such a behemoth that someone can lose $1.5 billion and be like, "Do you mean to spot you $1.5 billion?"
I got you, bro.
Yeah, I do. Okay, cool. Now we're gonna mass liquidate the market so that I get my money back.
You want to talk about revenge trading? CZ comes back from jail and basically is like, "I'm fine. How you doing?" You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Mhm.
nothing has happened.
No, but that's who you're trading against.
Yeah.
People who have the capacity to move a market. There was a lot of questions about, Michael Saylor just bought more than $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Why
It's
didn't it
about
move?
$2 billion.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and why didn't it move the chart? And so we talk about, the impact of over-the-counter trading, blah, 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 topic for another day. But, that's it. Because these charts are being driven by people who have the ability to drive the charts. So the
Yeah.
best thing you can do is not try to figure out what they're going to do and
Yeah.
just react accordingly.
Speaking of things that are side notes related to confidence, we were at we're at the Stellar thing last night, and we're waiting outside to get into our Ubers. And Alex is standing next to me. And he goes, "Look at this guy behind you, wearing a Bybit hoodie. Read the room, pal."
He's at ETH Denver in a Bybit hoodie. I'm just like, brother.
The conversation started.
Oh, man.
Okay, and what would you say to where in the cycle are we, and when altcoin season? You got to
No
answer.
one knows where we are in the cycle.
Okay.
Fact check yourself,
Because I
brother.
mean, like, you could argue that the same thing that's happening last cycle is happening now, where you had like a double top. I think that's kind of set up because clearly December was a top as compared to February. What's going to happen afterwards, we have no idea. But we all know like there's positive things still coming. It's just coming at the speed of Congress, which is super
Yeah,
slow. The strategic Bitcoin reserves, all that other
Yes.
kind of stuff, yada, yada, yada. MicroStrategy buying more Bitcoin, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff. And when do I think altcoin season comes? I think altcoin season comes back, but it's going to be in that abbreviated sense that we experienced
Like in
this past
November,
time.
December.
Yeah, where it's like you had, 3 months. You had 3 months where Bitcoin dominance fell by like 10 or 15% or something like that. And I think that's about what you get, again, because of the ETFs. And I think what triggers that altcoin rally, I'm not going to say season anymore, that altcoin rally is the Ethereum ETF staking getting turned on, because then that'll drive money into Ethereum. Ethereum's price will go up. The price per Ethereum, then that gets swapped into coins on Base and maybe Move and Optimism.
Sure, or flows out to Solana.
Or flows out to Solana even, is worth more. And that happens, but at the same time, you have money going into the ETFs, and it's not really flowing into the Ethereum actual ecosystem. So again, you're going to run into the same problem of, okay, cool, altcoins are outpacing Bitcoin. Maybe this lasts for 3 months or so, but we're not getting that huge injection of liquidity directly into the space. So I think, again, what we're going to experience is it's not going to be an altcoin season. It's going to be an altcoin rally, and it's going to be incredibly critical to do what Alex was saying, which is every single time you have a profitable trade, take some money, sock it away. That money you do not touch again, because the other thing that's going to happen too is you're going to have meme coins come back. You're going to have meme coins come back. That's also going to suck liquidity. And nothing has changed at all about the current altcoin setup, which is ETFs are sucking up liquidity. Meme coins are going to come up. They're going to be scam tokens. There's going to be more celebrities. That's going to suck up liquidity, and that's going to greatly reduce the altcoin season rally that we have historically been able to have this time around. So just understand, nothing about the environment has changed at all. And so expect shorter altcoin rallies and be ready to get in and out of the markets in a shorter period of time, like 2 or 3 months.
I think that it's important to remember the people who get hosed the most in bullish times are the ones who play the bull market backwards. What I mean by that is the farther you get into a bull market, if you're getting more and more and more exposed to spot assets like Ethereum, Solana, whatever you're taking your bet on,
into it.
If you're buying into that market, so like, which is still the most classic thing that I see influencers talking about during bull markets, is you got to buy the dip in the bull market. I'm selling the peaks in bull markets. I almost add, I add very little. I buy during a bear market, and then you just ladder out as it goes up. So my stablecoin position is growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as the bull market gets further in. That way, when it all comes toppling and you inevitably miss the top, you're sitting in a position where you've lost some money because you still had some exposure to the things that you believe in long term, but mostly what you have are stablecoins. Then you can start talking about buying a dip. So if you're playing it the way where you're watching the bull market move, things are up, dip, up, dip, and you're buying as things go like that, you're doing it backwards.
You're packing your bags and they're getting heavier. You're going to have to hold them for longer. I want to zoom in on what you said about if you're buying when it's low, or in a bear market selling into a dip. What I find happens too is if people execute that strategy, eventually over the course of like a bull cycle, a bull sentiment, whatever, any kind of bullish sentiment, you can reduce the size of your portfolio in terms of how many positions you have and make it easier to manage. Like, let's say last November, I've been holding XRP for a long time. I don't have a lot of confidence because not a lot of stuff has been happening there, or Cardano or HBAR, and it just runs up. I am going to get out of that and into stable coins. I'm going to sell on the way up, be into stable coins. And if I don't have conviction in a thing to go further, then I probably won't buy back in on a dip. Now I can focus on something like Arrow and Solana, where I'm like, okay, this is a really high performing asset, and the numbers are going up and to the right. More people are using it. More TVL is there. If I sell into a peak, then I might buy some of that dip because I don't think it's over yet. And if I'm selling well on the way up, then I don't have to buy back in with the whole position.
But you touched on the key differentiator between your strategy and what I'm talking about doing it backwards, which is that you're appropriately taking profits and selling when things are super green. So I do the same thing. This whole bull market, I've been playing Solana that way. Where every time Solana pumps, I sell some of it because my average price is quite low. So every time it pumps, I sell some of it, knowing that at least at some point in the future, it is going to be worth at least $1 less per coin than it is right at this moment. And at that time, I can re-enter and expand my position. So that's swing trading, right? I don't apply any technical analysis to it. I don't apply any like general macroeconomic market analysis. I don't know enough about all that stuff to sit down and think that I'm going to like play the market perfectly. I literally just look at the price, identify what it's at, look at my average, and if I'm way up, I sell some. And if it's way down, then I buy a little bit of it. And I just do that repeatedly over and over. Never with the whole position, You're not selling all of your Solana and then buying all of it back with all of your USDC. It's just chunks, 10% at a time. Take a 10% slice off the top, add some stable coins.
And I bet another thing you're doing that I want to clarify for newer folks especially is when Alex is doing this, he's not going to his wallet and tapping the sell button and paying a fee to turn it back into dollars. He's probably going to an exchange like Coinbase, or if it's a decentralized exchange, maybe Uniswap or Jupiter.
Only decentralized.
And that's because the fees are cheaper. He's not selling, he's swapping. It's a different function, trading one crypto asset for another. Selling means turning your crypto back into cash. These are technical terms, but you should learn the definitions because swapping is one, usually cheaper, and two,
always cheaper.
He's turning his crypto into a different crypto. A stable coin is pegged to the value of a government currency like the US dollar. And it's easy for Alex to spend fractions of a penny to do that and have it ready to switch back into cryptocurrency. If you sell it, what happens is you pay a bigger fee, and then it will take you longer to turn that cash back into crypto next time, and you'll pay higher fees there too. So you're cutting into your profit margins and requiring that the asset moves more to make you profitable. Alex doesn't need for Solana to go up 2x to execute that strategy. If it goes up 20% on the day,
oh my God, if you get 20% on an investment in one day, recognize that that's really good and reward yourself.
Amen.
Don't listen to some dipshit that's like, never sell until you get at least a 3x. That asshole gets hosed every time, or they're not doing it that way. There's only two possibilities.
Something I want to stress, though, is swapping and selling. Swapping is still a taxable event.
It is still a
taxable event.
So just be aware of that.
Yes.
Still a taxable event.
That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. If you're in profit, you're going to pay taxes on the profit.
Just ask yourself, would you rather pay tax on a percentage of your profit
lose all your money,
or lose all of it on a loss?
Exactly.
It's an easy choice.
Will, you said something like 10 minutes ago that I was looking for a moment to come back to because I think it probably made somebody spit their coffee at the computer monitor. You said...
Was it my dolphin screech?
No, you said... So I don't forget the context, but you're talking about the markets and answering Alex's... You said, short term, we're doomed. And I'm pretty sure that's exactly how you said it. Yeah, and I think anybody who's listening to this whole call is like, wait a second. I thought like we were cautiously optimistic. We're watching the numbers. What do you mean when you say short term we're doomed? And can you walk somebody back?
Yeah, no, I mean that's just me being a little dramatic. But from a technical analysis standpoint, if you look at the chart, price, if you look at the weekly chart, in the weekly chart and the monthly chart, far more impactful than the daily and the hourlies in extreme magnitude. And they've broken key macro support, and the next support is down at $75,000.
Okay.
On both the weekly and the monthly chart. If you're looking at the 12-month exponential moving average and the 55-week exponential moving average, that's just what we're seeing from a technical analysis standpoint. But technical analysis isn't always right? Mm-hmm. And so, this week there is the opportunity for the NVIDIA earnings call for Q4 GDP number, for consumer spending and consumer income and PCE inflation, CPE, PC. I always mix it up. I always mix it up. PCE inflation data coming out. That could all be good and could start to have a rebound in the market, really starting on Thursday. Or it's going to throw a shit ton of gasoline on the market because it's just one of those miss. We're already at a very uncertain time in the market. And not to get political at all, but, Trump's budget was just approved. And that's also adding a little bit of uncertainty to the
only
market.
Through the House.
Only through the House? Okay. Yeah. Well, that's great. But
it will get approved.
It will get approved. But the reason why I just bring it up is because spending is being cut by $2 trillion over 10 years, but taxes are also being cut by $4 trillion over 10 years. So if you're really serious about like our deficit problem and the debt in the country, that is a $2 trillion swing towards worse debt over the course of 10 years. And also the things that they're looking to cut are things that add security to people. Like
I was going to say, you have to take into consideration that not every dollar spent by a government is the same as any other dollar spent by the government. And the things that are being proposed to be cut are going to cause a lot more pain than would have been made by
Yeah, and the things
spending
looking to be
that
cut
dollar.
are food stamps,
Medicaid.
Medicaid.
Well, Medicaid is rumored. The GOP leaders come and said that they don't want to cut that. So we'll see what happens there.
They got to
Don't
talk
come
to
for
their
me.
bill writers.
Yeah, exactly. And also their constituency would be super pissed off too. But it's food stamps, education, and like food stamps is a huge thing that adds security to people in an economy. And security and consumer confidence in a market are things that do affect the market.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too is they've increased the amount of our budget, our deficit ceiling by, I think it was $2 trillion or $4 trillion.
$4 trillion.
It was $4 trillion. So like the deficit problem with this budget, it's going to get worse. Just looking at the numbers, not getting political in any way, shape, or
Money
form. Just
printing.
No, that's
looking,
what happens.
just looking at the
That's-
numbers.
We use
But that's
dollars.
the thing.
It'll get
Like
worse.
every single party is going to print more. They're going to raise the budget.
Right.
It's just that now you're in a situation where taxes are also being cut, and if you want to tackle your own personal budget, you need your revenue to go up and your expenses to go down,
Right.
and that's not happening with us. So that's going to add a little bit of uncertainty to the market as well. And if you want to watch how that's going to affect the market, keep your eye on the bond market and their yields. But we don't have to get into that. But just know a little bit of uncertainty for the future deficit. But at the same time, like how uncertain would we really be? Because we know it's just going to get worse. I mean, like really, honestly, I think it'll be a real short-term, like bearish uncertainty where people are like, oh no, like the deficit's going to get worse. And people are going to be like, but then everyone's going to be like, yeah, of course the deficit's going to get worse because that's just what we do forever.
Yeah.
As long as the US dollar is the reserve currency of the world, everyone's just going to print more and spend more and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for addressing.
Anyway, sorry, I
concern.
went on a bit of a tangent,
No,
but it
it's
was just
good.
something we hadn't talked about that is affecting the markets
I'm glad you
today
did.
because it happened last
Yesterday.
night.
Yeah.
Happened
People will be reacting to it. Okay. So get your final thoughts ready, your last jokes, your questions, suggestions, your words of wisdom. And I will use mine to say to Future Father, who asks, how do you find the average cost of your crypto investments? Is that self-tracked? Is it a feature on an exchange, on a wallet, something else? And the option is yes, all the above. You can very simply track these things yourself on a pen and paper by measuring every single time you buy a crypto and taking note of, I said measuring, don't measure it, just take note of the date, the time, so you can go back and look it up later. You want to know what you bought, how much of it you bought in terms of tokens. So I bought 0.001 tokens of Bitcoin at what price in dollars or euro or your currency for $10. And then if it was a swap, a buy, a sell, a transfer, give it a classification, a categorization. That will help you determine when you go back what your average price was and how in profit you are. You can make this an Excel spreadsheet. There are lots of templates on the internet so that you can see over time as you're buying and selling what your average cost is. And at the price today, are you in profit? Are you in loss? Set your price targets. Our friends over at CryptoSnapshot.net have developed some free to use tools that will allow you to kind of input some of your buys and sells and track this in an Excel, or you can make it a PDF, and they'll calculate some things for you, like what your exit should be based on what your average buy price is. You might also use CoinStats, Coin Tracker. These are paid services that will do it for you by connecting to your exchange and wallet accounts, because some exchanges do it, some exchanges don't. Some wallets do it, some wallets don't, and sometimes they change. Is it Coinbase or Coinbase Wallet that some of our community members have been having trouble with, because some days they log in and it's like just not there anymore?
I think it's the Coinbase wallet.
It's something like
Coinbase
that.
wallet has like some API issues,
Yeah.
integration issues with like data price feeds every now and again.
CoinGecko has one you can do yourself. It's free. You got to keep up with it manually. But the long and the short of it is, find a solution that works for you. Many such tools exist. Don't rely on just one wallet or exchange to track it all. You gotta,
just go with vibes. Don't track any
Go
of
with
this.
the
It's not
vibes,
important. It's
man.
only the money that you've worked really, really hard for.
no.
Just go with vibes.
I am almost purely driven by vibe.
But
Yeah.
you got to say the name, my brother. If you
Vibe
aren't tracking,
is good.
if you aren't tracking this data is so easy to track and will make you. I wish I had a metric at hand. I'm sure it's available from a study somewhere. You will be so much more profitable if you are actually just looking at a number of, when did I buy it? What price was it? And you'll be so less worried if that information is like at the ready available to you. It's not hard to track. It's not onerous in terms of time. And it's not like difficult, complex, so I recommend everybody does that. And I hope that helps. What about you guys? Final thoughts, questions, suggestions? Good
In a
jokes.
bear market, it's a great time to be paying attention, as Alex said, to like where the money is flowing and everyone's going to be performing poorly, but who's performing the least poorly, right? That's the sign of that coin has fundamental growth, but also like understand where in your investing journey and education you still have gaps. If that's, I really need to learn how to understand how to research and find on-chain data, start with that. If you're like, hey, I've learned how to navigate this on-chain data place, but like, I don't know shit about like the global economy. The global economy really directly affects, I mean, every single asset market. So if you want to be able to start to understand a little bit more as to like why markets in Japan have drastically affected markets in America, that happened last year. But like take some time to start finding some resources. Folks on Twitter like Jesse Cohen is a great person.
Yeah, I was going to ask you sources.
Jesse Cohen's great. There are a bunch of like YouTube channels, a bunch of books, right? Just like basics of asset markets. Just learn like how it all works. Listening to my videos also help you learn about like what kinds of things you should be paying attention to. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is a great direct source of information for macro data for the US economy. So if you want to just go and directly get that, you can go there. They have a schedule of their data that's being released also that you can go and check. So, and there are a bunch of like YouTube and like podcasts that really focus on
what about like
traditional
papers,
finance.
like, I don't know, or journals like The Economist or anything? Do you follow any of those?
I personally don't.
Okay, just curious.
I personally don't. But there's a lot of information out there. So I'd say, find where your gaps in your knowledge are, and then start taking some time to go and focus on filling those knowledge gaps, and, stop paying attention every single day to the price and start paying attention on where you need education.
In your chart and in your brain, gaps must be filled.
Gaps must be
Amen.
filled.
Gaps must be filled.
At least 90 to 85% of the time.
Alex, what about you?
Just, I mean, like I said, DeFi Llama is my best friend in times like this. It's my favorite resource. I look at it 2 times a day, at least every day, just to like check and see if anything crazy is happening with the money movements.
Yeah.
'Cause money's going to move before price action moves most
Always.
of the time.
Almost always.
And if you start to like, I don't recommend like looking at money moving somewhere and immediately trying to like over leverage and buy crypto in response to it, or, trade it, but take notes and like start to jot down. I keep literally this paper notebook like a caveman, and I just write down like, okay,
Me too, dude.
money just went into this, and price did this, and I just jot down little notes, and then I take a picture of it and I run it through a text extractor, feed it to my GPT assistant, and it keeps track of like things that I'm watching and learning about. So
Really strong.
DeFi Llama is your friend. Please don't leave. Please don't like stop paying attention. Now is the time when people like me are doubled down, and the next time everything explodes and things are going up and someone like me is sitting here telling you to take profits, maybe you'll be
We're literally at a conference with other people who are focused all their time on building the future of this space. So you're in it.
Yeah, long term, nothing has changed. There's going to be dumbass altcoins that never come back. But like I said, you can kind of start to pick those things out of the pack by looking at who's got the biggest crashes, because that is indicative of them being mostly propped up by speculation and not purpose.
Justin said, I want to highlight this as a final thought. The reflection from the mirror behind you, Will, makes it look like he's wearing an eye patch.
That's awesome.
Honestly,
that's awesome.
That would be cool.
I'm
bullish on eye
bullish on
patches.
that.
Very bullish on eye patches, and bullish on you guys in the Rise Up Morning Show. We love having you here with us every day, and we will be back tomorrow. Don't miss tomorrow's show. It's going to be a little later than it usually is, like today's was. We're starting at 8 a.m. Mountain Time, 2 hours later than we usually start. So if you're in Central Time, that's 9. If you're in Eastern Time, that's 10. If you're in Western Time, you might finally be able to catch us because we're up at 7, and we would love to see you there. We're going to have Tova, founder of Bitcoin. We're going to have Lindsay, who is your friend from the Rise Up After Dark show, and Stellar, and maybe some other special guests like Mr. Mac Lorden, if we can drag him out of bed for a great panel conversation. Everyone's going to share their observations from the conference. They're going to talk a little about the things they're working on, and we're going to keep you posted by answering all the questions that you have. Last time, join the Discord, discord.gg/riseup. It's totally free. We've got great resources there, and the only thing missing, my friends, is you. So, guys, thanks for another great show. Everybody, until next time, stay safe, be well.
Bye-bye.
Rise up.
Bye-bye now.